Right. It's welcome to all of you millions around the world who are our viewers at KAFTAN Television. It's my pleasure to welcome you. My name is Dayo Omoogun, and the program is the Polity, and it's coming to you from KAFTAN Television, and KAFTAN stands for King Adebayo Film and Theatre Arts Network Television. And this afternoon, we will be talking about two topics quickly. But before we go into that, let me quickly bring in my guests. To my immediate right, you have a barrister. Is called Uthman Tochukwu Esquire.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Dayo.
Yeah, and I'm sure for many people, that combination of names rings some kind of bell. How many times do you hear an Uthman Tochukwu? But let's go to the next guest. My other guest to my far right is Ben Agunloye. He's been here also for quite some time, over a number of times. He's a public affairs analyst, just like the barrister is, in addition to being a barrister. But here now, I bring to you Ben Agunloye. You're welcome.
You're welcome, Mr. Omoogun. Thanks for calling me.
All right. Now, we will be talking about the cost of expression of interest and nomination forms by political parties and how affordable that is. But just before we go there, one of the reasons why we're coming to you late today, one real major reason, is the fact of the launching of the book by Badamasi Babangida, the very well-known Army General who was military president for some years in Nigeria, who is popularly known as IBB. And today, it was a roll call of who is who in Nigeria at the Transcorp Hilton, where the memo was launched. Almost every past president was there. Is that correct? Every past living president was there. Jonathan was there. Obasanjo was there. Everybody, except, I guess, except for one, who, whether he joined by Zoom or something, I do not know, but I think President Muhammadu Buhari is the only one who was missing in the roll call. But everyone who is who, the Alakijas of this world, the Abdul Samad Rabiu of this world, the Dangotes of this world, the T.Y. Danjumas of this world, everyone made it there. And it's been raining naira and kobo in billions today. And my guests were the ones who hindered me from adding my own little token. I just wanted to be a part of it. But when I saw that the billions were beyond one, because I was thinking of just dropping a billion, and but they laughed me to scorn. But okay, that's not why we are here. Now, but it's been wonderful, and this is one landmark event that's going to shape the future of Nigeria without doubt. For many years, there were doubts as to whether MKO Abiola really won. So much so that when that election, each time it was referred to, you will talk about the presumed winner. But today, because we have heard from the horse's mouth, I think we can clearly say the winner of that election was MKO Abiola. He said so himself. And then he said every decision that was taken under his watch, because he was the leader, he takes full responsibility for them. And that's what a leader should be. And I mean, there were several other things, of course, the Delegiwa issue and all that. If you don't mind, join us in the evening on Matters Arising. That's some expo for you. Join us on Matters Arising, and we'll take a closer look, a more detailed look at what transpired at the Transcorp Hilton earlier today. So quickly, you just want to say one or two things about that launch?
It's not even much to say, only that it's good that some of us who, have been reading from the several different books about the man IBB, will be glad to read his autobiography, because there's need for us to get the record straight from the history himself. And it's a thing of joy for all of us, and for Nigerians, especially for some of us who are keen to verifying the facts. Yes, it would be nice to read his autobiography, and congratulations to him. It's happening in his lifetime.
All right.
Yeah, what I would just say is, at least for once, we are seeing things being done properly. A properly conceived presidential library that would serve the purpose of national interest, for which is the reason why it is there. And then it's going to give us a lot of opportunity, because when he said he was stepping aside, I remember a professor telling me this is obviously the end of an era. And I said, why? He said he has run the government the way it was never run before him, and that there are chances that you are not going to have some of the things he has done repeated that way. And I said, oh, he said, Priwosu was a commissioner in Anambra. People commended him, and he took him from there to the then NEC to come and conduct election for the nation for his experience. Kalu Dikakalu was possibly commissioner for finance or economy in Imo. He felt he has done well for that state. Before we knew, he was also at the center doing something for the nation. You see professors, they have written articles. Before you know it, they are ambassadors or they are held in an institution. So everybody that had something to offer, there was a way that system worked at the time. There's a way the government push or approach or bring people in and try to get the best out of them. So I think the book should tell us about his thinking and minimize the misgiving or the shenanigans that are out there, so that we can focus on the future of the nation and getting things done better. It's an opportunity to learn.
I think that as we put a close on this part of this intro, I think that one very important thing that every Nigerian should do is to go get a copy of that book and try to familiarize with the contents, because there's a whole lot to learn about the dynamics of power, about the humanity of men, no matter their position. He talked about, he said, well, some mistakes would have been made and all that. And it talks about, now he's closer to the exit, the departure lounge, and he has little or nothing to fear, and so he can spill everything. And I think that this is something that all of us need to come to terms with and use as a basis for organizing even our private lives and our national lives. So we'll leave it there as we go into the topic for today. And so today, first of all, we'll be talking about the cost of EOI / nomination forms. EOI here stands for expression of interest. Now, first of all, this is the way I'd like to go, Barrister. Why do you have, what is it? What's the difference between EOI forms, expression of interest forms, and nomination forms? Is it not duplication? Is it not just a way of making money? What exactly is it? Somebody out there is waiting to get some clarification.
Expression of interest form and nomination form, ideally, it should just be one, and then we could call it a nomenclature.
Okay.
But the politics of what it is, right? The political parties tries to separate it. You know, when you have 10 people that have expressed interest to run for a particular office, it's expected that the political party should earn money from those 10 people.
Okay.
Then nomination form is when the party has nominated a particular candidate, right, to go for a particular position. Then you pay for that nomination form. So expression of interest form and nomination form should actually be just synonym.
Exactly, ordinarily.
Right?
That's what
ordinarily. But because of the politics of what it is, I feel that political parties are using it to just make money.
Okay. Ben is itching to make a
to
different
me,
point.
I don't think they are the same.
Okay.
Expression of interest says I'm interested in this position.
Good, yes.
I may not be qualified. I see it as buying a JAMB form, as against getting an admission letter. It is not everybody
that's close to what he has said.
It's not everybody that buys the expression of interest form that are actually qualified. by the law, you think you are qualified to contest. That's why you are expressing your interest.
All right.
But the party has to subject you to their internal rules,
some kind of
and say you are a house. So expression of interest form is actually a pre-qualification form.
Right.
Then if you are qualified, you can now stand
to be nominated.
The
same thing
so when you stand to be nominated, you now pay again for the nomination.
Yes, because it's a different form and it's a different committee.
Do you pay at
No, it's a different committee.
Okay.
You have applied for screening, is different from interview or for examination, right? So screening should have been done at the point of expression of interest.
Let's take it from the point of like job hunting, job recruitment.
Yeah.
So this is like for getting listed as one of the interviewees. So you pay expression of interest form for showing interest in it at all.
Yeah.
Then when they now look at your credentials and all your contributions to the party, they say, no, this one, there was a time he first of all left the party. He insulted us 3 times. Remove this one. And then whatever is remaining, they now come and pay for nomination.
Yes.
And then they now run against themselves.
Yes.
Wow. All right. Okay, now let's quickly go from there to say, now what you have seen thus far of the rates, of the scale of rates, what does it say to you? What does it say to you? Maybe it should come to you, because as we speak right now, for the Anambra governorship elections, which comes up, I think, in November this year, the APC is saying it's asking for a total of 50 million, I think 10 million naira expression of interest and 40 million naira nomination, whilst I think the PDP is 10 million and 30 million for both respectively. Now, how does that sound to you, Ben?
Well, they sound high, but the party sees that as their primary source of revenue, so to say. Now, parties in the past, I was a small boy in the days of the UPN, but I know that I used to see their membership card, and they pay 50 kobo, I think every month or something like that, because you will see that they have marked that he has paid. So what you were getting at the time, therefore, is that the people contribute, the membership base were actually financial member of the party. But what you have today, I'm not sure if anybody is seriously making any such continuous contribution. So what it means, therefore, is if the party will need to run campaign for you, if the party will need to run its affairs, they need to make some money. The alternative to having people to pay is to have some individuals who will bankroll the party and then dictate the fate of every candidate as to who can be given nomination form, who cannot be given.
So you have even gone beyond. So already you are factoring in, there are some individuals who bankroll beyond this humongous amounts that we're talking about.
Yeah.
There are some individuals who are in the wings who bankroll and who determine. I mean, because of course whoever pays the piper dictates the tune. Now, so Uthman was saying, what's your take there?
I think that my take is that, which has always been my take when it comes to expression of interest or even nomination of forms by the candidates, right, or aspirants at this point. This money are, of course, exorbitant and also brings room for corruption. Exactly. Because if you look at the circumstances through which this candidate this aspirant have to raise this money, you would also need to look at the fact that some of them will not get the ticket, or some of them will at the end of the day win the election and get into power, and then they will have to recoup back their money. So it's like an ROI to get into the office, so that you can give yourself a timeline within which to recover your money. Then how do we avoid this kind of exorbitant price for nomination forms? There's need for us to go back to how it is used to be done before, like my colleagues have said. Political party needs to pay for the nomination forms of each candidate. When we do that, we'll have a kind of independence and control for our candidates.
What you're saying invariably, if I put it in other words, is that these funds should be given free of charge.
Exactly, because what it will help to fight in the party is that corruption of the system. Because if you have an idea to contribute to nation building, if you have an idea to contribute to good governance, and you don't have money, you cannot mobilize. You can't even buy the forms. But think of it this way: you have an idea to contribute for good governance, and the party sponsors you to get the office. Do you now say you have something to build? But if you don't have that money, how do you even participate?
Good one. So let's take it from there. How does this bode for the political system in Nigeria? A situation where Ben has fantastic ideas. Ben is creative. Ben is fecund upstairs. But he doesn't have the money. And Ben knows full well, if he becomes chairman, or let's take it further, or governor of his state, in this case, Ondo, Ondo State. He knows that he can change the face of Ondo State. All it takes is to put his ideas on ground, and everything will turn around for good. Yet, he does not have the 40 million naira. If he were in PDP, he does not have the. We're just building a scenario. So, what does that do to our politics?
Well, the practical reality is this. Like I said, if the party is not well funded, okay, we go back to the IBB2 party system. If you remember, everybody was a joiner. Yes. The state was funding the parties. Yeah. And so virtually everything was set like on a table. We went for option A4, where everybody have the right, courtesy of Professor Osun, where everybody have the right to participate and to compete. Yes, you can be looking at liberalizing the table, but basically one thing that must be defined is how does the party raise funds? If the party does not have a means of generating revenue, then there is a problem. Because if the party will go out to campaign, they need to fund their secretariat function.
If the party has a way of generating funds that is flawed, is that not a greater problem?
Well,
like what we currently have. Is that like what he said? Why sow the seeds of corruption in government?
But the reality is this. What is the amount that we are putting there? The highest anybody has paid was presidential ticket, 100 million. Is it not?
Exactly, yes.
Fine. How much is each of the cars today, the bulletproof cars, in the presidential convoy?
How does that connect?
Now, what we're saying in essence is the capacity, right, to run will definitely be determined. To a large extent, the government does not campaign for you.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Are we saying that the poor has no place in this in the political scheme?
In the presidential system, whether we take it or leave it, the poor actually have little stakes in holding offices. Not even in the US, where they claim. In the US, the presidential candidates will do crowdfunding. Is it not? And it is in the end, those who get more support, it is their supporters sometimes that fund the campaigns and do some other campaigns for them. So to a large extent, if we want to give everybody a say, perhaps we should go back to a system that resonates with our culture and tradition, and that will be any form of parliamentary system where your reputation, where your integrity, where your personality and your ability will count, because you need to be at the grassroots to be elected. But in this presidential system, we've also seen people who became governors or senators who actually couldn't have won a councillorship in a free and fair election in their own electoral ward. But the results will come through the party from other places, and before you know it, they are the governor, they are the minister, they are the senator, and stuff like that.
Well, you are trying to say that it's a problem of form and not necessarily function. As far as I'm concerned, we have had all kinds of forms in this country, and at the end, they all fail. So, are you saying, because on one or two occasions before now, you have also championed the cause of the parliamentary system. Are you saying that if we follow the parliamentary system, it's a fail-safe system? That's not why we're here, but because it has come off what you're saying. Yeah?
That's my belief.
All right.
That to a large extent, it permits, it resonates with our DNA. And then you can stop somebody right from the grassroots because it needs to connect with somebody. We've had a minister in this nation that represented Lagos for 8 years and did not belong to any electoral ward in Lagos. Or is he registered to vote in Lagos? But for 8 years, he was minister representing Lagos and was a substantive minister.
Was that Agunloye?
No.
Okay. No. Okay. Let's go.
I think partly differently. I do not think that our presidential system is the problem. The problem is that the political class have monetized the system, and it is deliberate, right, to avoid people who have something to contribute but are limited with finances. And this is why we are having a new conversation now. When I mean we, I mean the Nigerian youth are having a new conversation now. That if we see somebody who is bright, who has something to offer, right, we can rally around him to make contributions without necessarily, I know we don't have an individual candidate that gives access for somebody to run outside the political platform. But even though your party is not ready to sponsor you, youths can galvanize and raise funds to sponsor you in office and have a new conversation. Because the reason is this: if you say that the political party lacks funding, are we now saying that the only fund that they rely on to maintain the political party is during election? Election is periodic. Exactly. 4 years or 8 years. Is it those times that you wait? What happens to the conventions you used to organize? What happens to the monthly and weekly meetings? In my ward, I know they meet every month. So how do they fund those meetings? So I think that when we are serious to have a conversation that political party should try to limit this monetization of political party and our party system, then the more easier it will become for us to fight this system and make it more friendly incentive for everybody to bring their.
So from what you're saying, you believe that even if we were to switch from the presidential to the parliamentary now,
as far as it remains the machineries that runs this system, it's going to be the same.
Okay, so now, well, just coming briefly.
I think it will not be exactly the same. Why? Because the big man now can sit in Abuja and dictate to the party chairman. The party chairman will find a way of making his candidate, right, sail through at the grassroots level. I've seen federal constituency where the governor has decided who the candidate should be.
Under this same presidential system, I remember that former chairman used to be very powerful. Yes. The Agunloyes of this world, of MPN, the same MPN of Shagari and all those people. I know that in those days, you had to take orders from the chairman as a member of the party. But suddenly, from 1999, I guess from the Obasanjo regime, the president now became the leader of the party and making even the chairman to be subservient, which never used to be the case. So I think that it is the operators of the system, which is to say also that even if we were to switch to the parliamentary system, there will still be forces powerful enough to capture the system and remodel it.
So the only solution
it's more difficult.
The only solution to this is neither presidential system or parliamentary system. It's independent candidacy.
All right.
Allow
every individual to come without necessarily coming from a particular political party. And you see it thrive.
The truth is this: America has practiced independent candidacy for how long? Have the independent candidate been able to get 10% of the Congress? Have any of the independent presidential candidates been able to get a close third? The truth is they have always had less than 5% of the total vote. What we are saying is Imagine that in 1999 we came in as parliamentary, right? I tell you that some of the governors who emerged at the time wouldn't have come. Even the president at the time, I am not sure, would have emerged from his own constituency in Ogun State. So to a large extent, there is a way. As politicians, senatorial election is easier for them to win than sponsoring a candidate for local government, for chairmanship election, if actually there was an election. Why? Because it's closer to the people, and the people have the opportunity to participate and to determine. So the system has a way. Yes, the people can influence, but the system you practice has a way of also shaping what you get. Boris Johnson in the UK had clout, you get what I'm saying, and power. But what did the Conservative Party, the Tory party, did to him? They unseat him as the prime minister, is he not? Will that have happened in a presidential system with his clout, with his might, with his move? I don't think it would have happened.
Yeah, didn't we see a semblance of that when, for example, the almighty Oshiomhole was just removed like just any member as chairman of AP? I think
that could happen anywhere.
Yes, because Nigeria. It happened to Oshiomhole.
Even Oshiomhole in the party, right? Yes. That's as the party, not as the governor of a state, not as the president of the nation. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. On the basis and to a large extent, the APC format of running their party, you may actually want to claim that was almost relatively more parliamentary in when you look at the DNA of the way the party is built up, right? The people, some groups have their say, and that's why sometimes when those groups don't care or when those groups fight, they don't care if the party lose. They just go ahead. But if they had been the real presidential thing, everybody would rise and say, don't let us disgrace the president. Let us continue to keep this seat. APC fired Oshiomhole, they lost Edo, and they didn't care.
I still believe and stick to my holdings that we have tried parliamentary system in Nigeria. Those of you who
for only 5-6 years,
but you witness it. Presidential system is what my youth witnessed, and I think that what we are here to witness is independent candidacy, and it is time, because we cannot continue to play within this monetized system of our political system.
How many people have 40 million naira to play with?
Yeah,
because if you must bring 40 million naira, it definitely must be that you have some 100 or 150
it's
million
one of the arguments we can
you have to go and borrow money, and this money is accruing interest, and it's a risky thing.
Mr. Dayo, let me give you a snapshot. There's one of the arguments we canvassed during the era of not too young to run bill. Yeah. We're pushing for Buhari to pass the not too young to run bill into law to allow younger people to come into power, and we argued that this thing is, you are not even doing a favor to an ordinary Nigerian youth. You are rather doing a favor to the political class, whom have their children within our age, of course may not have much to offer than we can, but because we don't have what it takes in the pockets to mobilize, these guys can just express interest and their father will roll out the funds. How does that, fight for the interests of Nigerian youth that have something upstairs to offer without money? If you do not have money, no matter the beautiful ideas you have, you cannot mobilize. You cannot mobilize.
Now we be creative. It was Babangida's day at Transcorp Hilton today, and it was during his time we had the
zero-party election.
A little to the right, a little to the left.
No, we even had zero-party election before the two parties.
So can we have a situation where a fund is created? We're just thinking of the COP. We're just trying to provide articulate solutions. Is it possible to suggest that we provide a fund from where youths can access some money to do politics, and then they pay back? I don't know. So,
for that to happen,
that was still set up.
For that to happen, yes, there should be an institute that trains particular people who wants to be in the public space. Yes, because it's not an open space or an open fund that just sponsor any kind of Dick and Harry that you want to occupy political office. No, you need to pass through an established system, maybe through a school of governance or something like skill acquisition, so that you can have that, you know, public institute experience to be able to govern before that money can be released for you. That could be a new conversation to have. And
because you know, build up to the IDB system.
The fear is this. The fear is this. When you put a 40 million naira form, what you have said is that, I mean, that's elimination on its own. A whole group has been cut off.
Skin wind out.
Exactly. So, and we're saying, how good is that for even the internal democracy of the party?
Yeah, that's you see, when you look at that's
will there ever come a day? Will there ever come a day when they find someone who's got brains, who's got what it takes, and then people say, okay, let's put money together and support this guy even though he doesn't have money?
I remember in 2020, just in 2023 election, Mr. Dele Momodu used 50 million naira to buy presidential form in PDP. He came back on the press after he lost. He didn't get even one vote. Not even his family voted for him. And yet he said if he had known, he wouldn't have wasted the money. He used the word wasted. And this is don't forget,
about. It was President Buhari as candidate in 2014 who lamented that he didn't have 25 million. It was at that time, APC form was 25 million.
People did crowdfunding and paid.
Exactly. So can we have,
So that's what I'm saying. When we actually come to that, the provision is there. There is no law banning crowdfunding. And if you say independent candidacy, we've actually have run some independent candidacy in this country. It's just that because you cannot contest on your own. In 2007, Mimiko wanted the ticket in PDP in Ondo State. He was foisted out of the party. He went to Labour Party then. And Labour Party won the election. PDP was declared. He went to court. He became governor. And his 2 times election as governor in Ondo State were won on the platform of Labour Party. But ever since he left Labour, Labour hadn't won anything again in that state.
So that victory was
that victory was for him, was arranged for him. The crowd, where he went was where the crowd went. When you look at Izimata Wamako in Sokoto in the same 2007, was foisted out in AMPP, and then PDP brought him in. Of course, he won the election because the crowd wanted that man. So if you resonate, even in the 2023 presidential election, if we will be fair, before that we've also seen people who lost ticket for Senate, went to YPP, and got the Senate ticket. Having lost. So those are actually some version of independent.
We cannot actually say. We cannot just say.
It's not outright. But it's a version of it.
You need a platform.
It's a version of it.
The point he is making.
It's a version of it.
If you build yourself into such a very irresistible brand,
wherever you go, you
just like P2B. For instance,
coming to Labour
is the typical example of what it's giving. But we cannot say that certifies independent. Independent candidacy is where no political platform is able to give you a platform to keep.
No, it's required. No political platform is required.
Exactly.
Exactly. Is it not going too far, first of all, to even be talking about independent candidacy or these other ones? Can't we regulate? Can we put regulations in place and say this is the bar of what any party can charge for forms? For example, what stops the entire form not being more than 10 million?
No, the reason why it will be difficult to make regulation, this is law now. And to God be glory, I happen to be a lawyer. You see, some of these things are not legislative stuff. And the reason is that, and that's why even within political parties, when they have problem, the court will say our hands are tied because we cannot dictate to the party what to do. Right? You carried yourself and become a member of the party. And so you are bound by the dictates of the party, and that's what they say in law. Volenti no fit injure.
All right. Volenti no fit injure. Now, but let me also say, is the party superior to the nation?
No.
Very good. So
The
we must
constitution
constantly
recognizes-
circumscribe the party and the party constitution under the national constitution. Isn't it so?
Constitution had already done that. Constitution had already by giving independence to every political party to take decisions that affect them, because it's like an interest group. It's like an interest group. So whatever animated within those interest groups are bound by their own constitution. So you cannot force it on the court, for court to take a decision that affects the interest group.
And my dear Nigerians, wherever you're watching from, the line's been open ever since the last 10 minutes or thereabouts. Please do make your call in, just in case you have a point to make. 08029938365 is the number.
Going back to the IBB era, you will see they built up in the political system of that time. We had a zero-party election in 1987. There was a zero-party election before the Constituent Assembly, before we eventually now have people forming the 13 parties, before we came up with a little to the left and a little to the right, at which time we have what we call the National Democratic Institute, headed by Professor Omoogun. Professor Omoogun headed the National Democratic Institute, where all these Barnabas Gemade and the rest of them were maybe the first generation of students who were supposed to be taught party management, party leadership, governance,
which is the kind of
and
thing
the
he
stuff.
just talked
Yeah,
about.
so when he mentioned it, I remember that we've had that.
Yeah.
I think today they call them the National Democratic Institute.
It used to be
now
Center
we
for
should also
Democratic
have
Studies.
we should also have a leadership system where people can go.
Yes,
to get certified. And at that point also, when it comes to fundraising, mobilization and the rest, it should possibly be part of the things that they are taught. So you might not even need to create a fund or a loan for them to do that. What the fund should possibly be meant to do was maybe some kind of campaign. I know a system in the UK in some environment where once you have scaled through nomination, it's like there is a fund available, but it's the same amount that will be given to all the candidates. But you have to possibly emerge as a candidate in the main election before you have access to that fund. But everybody in the same constituency have access to the same amount, because they are trying to create a level playing field. And you can be fined for possibly spending outside that stipulated amount.
I'm afraid we'll just need to within these few minutes just talk about the second topic. Okay, let's just take a breather, and when we get back we'll flow into the other one. But that doesn't stop you from calling in on any of the topics while the time lasts.
Sheila BCFR, the black comedian of the Federal Republic. I tell you, when it comes to the best of entertainment, the best of news, the best of information, something that is educative, you're right here at the best place to see that. It's KAFTANTV. You know what? Increase the volume. Keep watching. Don't touch it.
All right, viewers, you're welcome back to the Polity. We've been talking about the high cost of expression of interest and nomination forms across the parties in Nigeria, and how this impacts negatively on how people are able to participate in the internal democratic systems. And even though back and forth, it looks as if there are merits and demerits to that. But quickly, let's talk about the Osun local government elections that have been scheduled for Saturday. Is it to hold or not to hold? Because I think there are...
that election, if it doesn't hold on Saturday, it then means that somebody has to go to court and file Form 48 for contempt of court, because the court has
said... If it does not hold.
If it does not hold.
But there's a party, I think KPC is saying that they are even... I saw where they said they are backing out of the elections because the election is against... or didn't I see
another
that?
Court order?
Exactly.
Yeah, they are backing up because of the Supreme of the Court of Appeal order that says the last election is still valid, and the winners of those elections that have been sworn in should be allowed to return to office, which means there is no vacancy in those councils that have been set out for the new election. So I think it's neither here nor there. They need to look at the case critically. Eventually they will end up in arbitration. But what is clear is those who want the election say we have a court order that says go and hold the election. The other party, but unfortunately in this case none of the court order is final because none of the two cases have gone to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's still subject to appeal. But
they are subject to appeal.
And I've not been able to, I've not been privy to the judgments of courts to understand actually the rationale behind my law's reasoning on that. But I think that in any case, however it is time for the governors, not just Osun State in particular, but for all the 36 state governors to allow these local government chairmen to exercise their own autonomy. They are all elected local government chairmen. You can't wake up and say you are dissolving a council of local government, people that were elected by their own people under democracy. So this autonomy should be something that we should respect to its finality.
So, and that also will borrow respect to maybe those who are actually saying perhaps that INEC should begin to conduct local government election. In which case, it takes it away from the direct influence of the government.
And I think I agree with you.
I think I agree. I've agreed with that many times because I think that the charade that happens at the state levels in the name of local government elections is very insulting to our psyche as a nation, to our image as a nation. But that's where we can leave this. Of course, we didn't start on time and we had all kinds of hitches, but all the same, it's been one wonderful time out here. And I want to say thank you to Barrister, the only learned person here.
Thank you, Dayo, for having me here.
Tochukwu is his name. And don't forget the combination is Uthman, Isa, Tochukwu. Very unusual combination. You can reach out to him and ask him about that combination. Now, and then Ben Agunloye, good to have you once again.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so very much, my production team. Wonderful team. Thank you so much. Thumbs up to you. And this is where we'll let it go. Thank you so much, our viewers from around the world. Please stay tuned to KAFTAN Television. There are several other programs. The news will be on shortly. Please be a part of us. Thank you. And this bye-bye from Dayo Omoogun.